Jay here, Stretford, Paddock. This is the Paper Talk, and we've got a bit of breaking news. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know what to do with myself because it looks like, finally, a deal has been agreed between Manchester United and Barcelona for Frenkie De Jong. I was actually beginning to think this would never happen. It seems to be dragging on that much. But we've just had a bit of a news update from Sky Sports. They've given an update saying that basically a broad agreement has been reached between Manchester United and Barcelona for Frenkie De Jong. The clubs are believed to have agreed on a fee around 65 million euros plus add-ons. Now, my maths isn't great, and nor is my sort of calculations when it comes to pounds to euros. I think that is around 56 million quid, is it? 57 million quid, maybe? Get involved in the comments and let me know how wrong my maths are. So it looks like we're almost there in terms of getting Frenkie De Jong to Old Trafford. The clubs have agreed a fee. Next thing is obviously for the player to agree his terms as well. Now, this had been there'd been a bit of an impasse, hadn't there? Barcelona had an offer from Manchester United. They hadn't accepted it. It looked like United were going to have to go in with a bigger offer, but it seems that the clubs have sort of found a happy medium around this, where Manchester United pay so much up front, 65 million euros, and the rest is in add-ons. Now, how those add-ons look, we're not quite sure of yet, but obviously we imagine that the standard would be for every sort of how many appearances he makes when he reaches any milestones, anything like that. We know in the past Manchester United have given some add-ons that are just unrealistic, which clubs haven't gone for. Do you remember the Aaron Wan-Bissaka one, where it is if he wins the Champions League, you get another bonus, and they were like, you're not even in the Champions League, behave yourselves. Now it's a slightly different one. Get involved in the comments, let us know what you think. Yeah, people are saying 65 million quid. It seems to be around that. Mayo Plays 7 says, finally. Joe Jordan says, get those likes in. Yeah, he's very right. Andy Long says, morning, Jay. Jamie White says, has hell frozen over? Yeah, it did seem to be going on a little bit. John Doe says, 65 million euros, not a bad price. Happy days in time to jet off on pre-season. DC Bizzle says, is this really happening? And Tom Marshall says, it looks like the waiting paid off. Yeah, I mean, this isn't too shabby, really, if this happens for the fee that we're being, that's being reported, and the time it's being reported as well. Obviously, pre-season hasn't really started yet. Erik ten Hag only arrived at Carrington, what was it, yesterday or the day before? I think he took his first training session yesterday. You've probably seen the pictures of that training session doing the rounds. I'll have a little bit more on that in a bit as well. So this deal looks like it makes a lot of sense for Manchester United. The price isn't ridiculous. It's more or less what we expected and what United was sort of hoping for. There's add-ons, of course, so it could go, a bit more than 56 million. But a lot of the time with add-ons, you almost want to have to pay those add-ons because it usually means a positive thing for the player. Add-ons mean he's played so many games for Manchester United. Maybe there's something there in terms of United qualify for the Champions League, or if he wins any trophies or whatever. Those are usually the nature of add-ons. It usually means that he's, a relative success at Manchester United or the club that he's gone to. So I'm not too bothered about add-ons, and I think that the reason that the deal makes sense and is quite pleasing is because we know Manchester United don't have an unlimited budget. This summer, the sort of figures being touted for Manchester United's transfer budget around 120, 130 million quid. So if we'd have gone out and spent like 80 million of that, which is one of the figures first suggested for Frenkie De Jong, that would have left us with, 40, 50 million to bring in anyone else? And you can't get many players for that sort of price. It would have been, one or two more players. At least this deal, as it stands and the way it looks, would leave Erik ten Hag and Manchester United with around another sort of 70, 80 million maybe to play with in the transfer market this summer. And if they can get a couple of bargains in, I know that's a big if, then maybe we can bring in 3 or 4 players rather than just 1 or 2. Ray Carl Brown Amory says, it's a good piece of business, 65 million euros, which is about 56 million pounds. It's smart. It was beginning to get to that point as well, where we were talking in the office yesterday saying, I feel like if United weren't to get this deal done, it'd be a massive embarrassment and a massive source of frustration. It'd be an embarrassment for the likes of John Murtough and Richard Arnold, who've, sort of come into the job and been telling everyone and touting themselves as these sort of things are going to be different. It's a new era. It's going to be more sort of football people leading the way rather than bankers, and you're not going to have the issues that you had under Ed Woodward and all this sort of stuff. If we don't get this target, we hadn't have got it, it would have been like, well, this just feels like more the same. In fact, it feels worse because a lot of the time we might have overpaid for players, but we got them. And then you'd have looked at Erik ten Hag and we were hearing so many reports that he'd said Frenkie De Jong was the player he wanted. Not just the player he wanted, the player he wanted to almost build his midfield around. It seemed like he was integral to the plans that Erik ten Hag had. And if we'd not got that player, then it would have been a case of, okay, a manager's coming in, and it just feels like, you're not backing him the way he should be backed. This feels, again, like all the other managers who've come in where, you look at going right back to when Fergie first retired, David Moyes, who didn't get the players that he wanted. And, we had Marouane Fellaini in the first window, and that was pretty much it. I know we got Juan Mata in the next one. Louis van Gaal was back to a certain degree, but then he wasn't. You look at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, again, first summer, first transfer window, he's backed. Then he wasn't. Jose was backed at first, but then, you go into the second season, I think it was, or the second summer, where, sorry, was it third summer? The one where we bought basically Lee Grant, Diogo Dalot and Fred, when Manchester City had finished 19 points above us. So you've got to back the manager, especially when he first comes in. And it looks like Manchester United have got the first sort of deal that Erik ten Hag was after over the line. It looks like it's almost there. We know there's sort of ifs and buts yet. We've still not agreed with the player, although there was a report in Sport, I think that's a Spanish publication, that went out this morning saying that that Frenkie De Jong was already in discussions about his wages. They seem to be a little bit ahead of the curve, saying that Manchester United and Barcelona were practically there in terms of the fee, and the player had already started, or his agent or whatever, had already started having negotiations with Manchester United about his wages. We don't know what his wages are going to look like yet. We don't know, the exact nature of this deal between Manchester United and Barcelona just yet. We just know, according to Sky Sports, who, relatively reliable, I think we can say, a broad agreement has been reached. So it's like agreement in principle, basically, that they've sort of happy with the fee, they're happy with the add-ons. Now it's just there might be a couple of little things they need to iron out, but we seems like we're edging closer to getting it officially sort of done, or at least the deal officially agreed, and then you can start looking at the players' wages. I don't think that should be too much of a problem. You think you'd have an indication when you go into a deal like that, what money he's on, what money you expect to pay him. Manchester United have never been too shy with wages. Let's face facts. I know we've had issues where we've overpaid on wages, and that has sort of hamstrung us in getting rid of certain players. You've got players at the club who barely play anymore, and we can't sell them on because they're on massive wages. Frenkie De Jong's a little bit different. This is your marquee signing. This is a player who's leaving one of the biggest clubs in the world, and he's already on big money. So you've got to know that when you're getting him, you're going to have to pay him big money. He's not going to come from Barcelona to a team like Manchester United. For me, it's a sideways step. It's not a step down. I think Barcelona and Manchester United are on the same level. You may disagree, but United's still one of the biggest clubs in the world. But we ain't in the Champions League. You're coming into a team that finished 6th last season. It is a bit of going into the unknown, a little bit of entering, yes, a new regime, but it's still a club that's been struggling over not just the last sort of, season. I know we finished 2nd and 3rd under Ollie, but we haven't won anything since 2017. So you're coming into that. You're not going to come into that and take a massive pay cut as well. I just don't see that happening. So he is probably going to be one of the top earners at the club, which kind of makes sense. And I don't really have an issue with that, because this isn't a player, hopefully, you'd envision United trying to move on next season or whatever. You'd want to see him stick around for a little while. Get involved in the comments. Let us know what you think. Hit that like button as well. Got over almost 2,000 watching, 200 likes. Let's get to 500 likes. Come on, you can do it. Damien Ahipini. I've probably got that completely wrong. Forgive me, Damien. So, sorry, Jay, I'm late to the stream. Finally, De Jong. Who else are we looking at? I'm so eager to see players coming through the door already. Yep. We have been looking at several other players. There's several players that have been linked with us. One player was Anthony. And I think there was a story doing the rounds this morning as well regarding Anthony, where they were saying that, there's conflicting reports here, so it's difficult sometimes to know which one, you can believe. But I saw one that was, I think it was in the Daily Mirror, saying that Anthony was almost being priced out at one point. It looked like that they wanted around 70 million quid for him, which was too much. But the other side to that is Anthony's keen on a move to United. He wants to carry on working with Erik ten Hag. So we'll have to see what happens with that one, because it looks like, on the one hand, you've got Ajax have got this price there, you can see from the graphic, that seems like a little bit too expensive for Manchester United, but the player does seem keen on a move. Can there be any movement there? We'll have to wait and see. Every day on Anthony, there seems to be something else happening. It's like one point it looks like it's on, one point it looks like it's off. The issue that's been sort of undermining everything has been this idea that Manchester United can only do one deal at a time. So whilst we were in the negotiations for Frenkie De Jong, how focused are we on the Anthony deal? There were reports that we had sent people over to Amsterdam or to Ajax last week. I think there was a few reports around that. We spoke to Dan Seth about it from Sky Sports as well on the Tier 1 Transfer podcast. But you've always had this sort of idea and this problem at Manchester United that we only do one deal at a time. You'd think that once the De Jong deal gets over the line, which according to reports now it looks like it almost is, then you can turn your attention to other targets, whether that is Antony. We're still waiting on Christian Eriksen as well, don't forget. That's more his decision rather than the club's. He's got a choice between Brentford and Manchester United. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that one. But get De Jong done. That shouldn't be the end of our transfer business, especially not when we're spending, and I use the word only in inverted commas, only 56 million up front on him. That should leave at least 70, maybe 80 million pounds left to spend. Even more if we can sell players, because a lot of the reports we were hearing a few weeks ago were that if Erik ten Hag or Manchester United sell players, that money won't be used to buy the Glazers a new boat or whatever. That will go straight into the transfer kit. I hope that is the case. I mean, you never know with Manchester United, do you, especially with our owners. But it would be good to know that if we were able to sell some players, that money could be invested back into the squad, because we need it. Let's face facts. You know, Manchester United look like we're about to make our first signing. City have bought Erling Haaland. Liverpool bought Darwin Núñez. Tottenham have bought Yves Bissouma, Ivan Perisic. I think they're looking at Spencer's at the kid as well from Middlesbrough. Arsenal have just bought Gabriel Jesus. You know, other clubs are doing bits in the transfer market, and we've been dragging our heels ever so slightly. I don't think it's been panic stations just yet, but you are looking around going, everyone's strengthening, and we're sort of still in this negotiation with De Jong. We need to get this deal done sooner rather than later, so then we can strengthen elsewhere, because I don't think even the most deluded, ardent Manchester United fan would say that we only need Frenkie De Jong to start challenging again. We need at least 3, if not more, players to come in. And the sooner we get this deal done, the Frenkie De Jong one, the sooner we can start looking at other players like Antony. And Antony's a player that, from what I've read, and I don't know a lot about him from what I've seen, you know, the few games I've seen him, from what I've read from people that do know him, or that I've seen a lot of him, I should say, he could be a very effective player for Manchester United. On that right-hand side, cutting him on his left foot, looks like it could work. Mank Mike 93, who's been a member of the first team for 11 months, says, hope you're well, Jay. Glad to be able to watch lives again. Buzzing to hear we're finally sorting the De Jong deal out. Think he'll do a cracking job for us. Yeah, let us know what you think about this. Are you all happy with this? Is anyone worried about De Jong? Someone here, Mohamed Amdi, says, I'm really worried that Erik ten Hag will use him as a DM. Yeah, he's not quite an out-and-out 6, is he, Frenkie De Jong? I think he played deep, and, you know, he's someone who's very good on the ball. He can pick a pass. I think Joe did a really good scout report on him. You can go and check that out on the channel as well. We've got a few videos on Frenkie De Jong, because I think there's so much sort of speculation that he was coming. I think we always knew it, but yeah, go and have a look at that. Talk MU says, morning, Jay. Great news. Good to see you in the chat as well, Talk. Mohamed Amdi also says, I think we should go for a DM and centre-back before Antony. Adnam Adibraham says, Martial is the best. They were all in training yesterday, and there's talk of everyone having a clean slate and everyone gets a chance. I don't know how true that is. Just, some players may just be sort of in training, but we're still trying to move them on. Anthony Martial was one of those players that was rumoured to be sort of available for a transfer, and that United were looking to move on. I don't know whether that's going to happen, though, because he didn't exactly have a great spell at Sevilla. He is on big money. We'll have to wait and see what happens on that front. Yeah, someone else. Ed C says, love your cameo on Gimme Sport talking about Slippy G. Yes, a few of us did unpopular opinions on Gimme Sport, and mine was that Steven Gerrard, I don't even know if it's that unpopular, I just said I thought he was one of the most overrated players ever. Wadinsky says, 100 million for Antony and Martinez is fair. Yeah, apparently we're still in for Martinez. There were reports, though, as well, that Arsenal were looking at him. This is the kid from Ajax, obviously, because we only ever get players from Ajax, or used to play from Ajax, according to all the reports, and that Arsenal were looking at him as well, and we may have a little bit of a fight on our hands to get him. We'll have to wait and see. The main thing now is there's been a breakthrough and a real sort of agreement has been reached between Manchester United and Barcelona for Frenkie De Jong. That has been the main transfer story we've been looking at. That has been the main target, and it looks like we've got there. At one point, I was beginning to worry that maybe this wouldn't happen. Maybe at least Manchester United would have to improve their offer, and would Manchester United be able to do that? Would they be willing to do that? Now it seems that the clubs have negotiated a way that everyone's happy. United are happy with the upfront fee. It's only £56 million, I say only, you know what I mean, in today's modern sort of market. but there's add-ons there that keep Barcelona happy because the reports were, they wanted to recoup around 65 million quid for him. I think that's roughly what they paid for him. They wanted their money back, basically, and it looks like this is going to keep everyone happy. And also, the most important thing is get a player that Erik ten Hag wants that can do a very important job for Manchester United to Old Trafford. Seb Luke Travis says Pau Torres is available for 45 million quid. LJ says, was reading from some sources that Malacia deal wasn't actually complete with Lyon. This is Tyrell Malacia, this kid from Feyenoord, I think, the left back, who were in for, I think he was rumoured for about 15 million quid, which, you think that's worth a punt if he's any good. But then Lyon were in for him, and then someone saying in the chat that maybe that's not happening. Ruben C says, good morning, Jay. Love the political talk on Scotty and Morty podcast. Have a solid good day, brother. Thank you. Joel Reddy says, hi, Jay. What's the plan for Pereira? Andreas Pereira was linked to Fulham, wasn't he? There was a lot of sort of stories doing the rounds yesterday that Fulham, I think, had made a bid for him. I think it was around 11 million pounds, sorry. I think that they were looking at bringing him in. I don't think the deal's been done yet, but it would seem to make sense for everyone. Pereira, I don't see him featuring under Erik ten Hag. I know he'll probably do what he does every pre-season and have an amazing pre-season, the old pre-season Pirlo, and maybe people go, actually, bit of a player here. But I'd be very, very surprised if Andreas Pereira gets much of a chance under Erik ten Hag. And if you can get 11 million quid in, like I said earlier, United, supposedly, any money that comes in can be used for transfer funds. You can reinvest that £11 million towards someone else. That makes a lot of sense because it wasn't that long ago we were trying to give him to Flamenco or sell him to Flamenco for €10 million, and they were trying to get us down to 5 million. United walks away from that, and it looks like we're going to get 11 million quid from him from Fulham. United also sort of dug their heels in a little bit with Frenkie De Jong, and it looks like we're going to get that deal over the line for £56 million up front, €65 million up front. So it looks like United, and I say this cautiously because I'm always loath to give any credit to what goes on behind the scenes at Manchester United, might know what they're doing this transfer window a little bit, shall we say, cautiously. Getting more money for Pereira is a good deal, especially when Flamenco are going to offer you a lot less and you want to pay for it. Getting Frenkie De Jong for a reasonable fee, I think £56 million up front is quite reasonable for a player of that quality, seems to be a sort of, I don't know, common sense move. It does. And it seems like Manchester United, maybe we're getting our act together. And I say this very cautiously. Srinidi M, I'm getting this completely wrong. Afternoon, Jay, from India. Thanks for your support. Happy to see De Jong deal getting completed finally. After De Jong, are we looking towards Martinez and Anthony? Arsenal have bid for 35 million. Will we get both? Yeah, Arsenal are sort of looking at other players. I think they're in for Martinez as well. Colin Gontier says, morning, Jay, from sunny Plymouth. I think Ten Hag is going to train up McTominay to be our number 6. Damien Affian says, he's never still a thing. Would love him at United. Gone a bit cold on that. I think the rumours were that if we didn't get De Jong, maybe look at Neves. I know they're slightly different players, but I don't see much happening on the Ruben Neves front. As always, though, we'll keep you posted and let you know if anything does. Make sure you are getting involved in the chat and the comments. Hit that like button as well. We've got almost 3,000 people watching. Let's get to 500 likes. Come on, we can get there easily. Ramon in the super chat says, looking forward to our midfield being able to keep hold of the ball and dictate play. Need to start playing like a top team to match our perception of being the best club in the world. GGMU. Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, this, it's a positive move, this. It seems like this is a real positive one. We've got the player we wanted. It looks like deal's agreed. I don't foresee, touch wood, any issues over the contract. And this is the one Erik ten Hag wanted. This is the player that he wanted. Now, moving on from Frenkie De Jong, I'm going to talk about something. This is a story that was doing the rounds this morning. It was in the Evening News in the Mirror. It's quite serious, this. Yeah, it's quite a serious issue. And Joe sat here next to me, and he's distraught. And, I know it's early morning, so if you don't want to hear this, maybe go make a cup of tea or whatever. But we need to get into it. And I want to talk to you about bibs. Because apparently, Erik ten Hag, and this is according to reliable sources such as the Manchester Evening News and the Mirror, says that he's read players the riot act because they were putting the bibs after the training session in the wrong piles. They were putting the bibs just in a pile like that, right? Just getting bibs and just going, there you go. And it said, what are you doing? It's not one of you finished 6. Separate bibs in separate piles. Are you stupid? You won't get this, Ajax. Do you think I'm going to bring Frenkie De Jong to this shambles when you can't even put bibs in the right thing? So, we'll keep you posted over whether Erik Ten Hag quits his job over this. Absolute outrage. This is an outrage, by the way, and I'm disgusted and embarrassed as a Manchester United fan. And if Eric, if you're watching, I apologise on behalf of Manchester United Football Club. And you lot, you players, putting bibs willy-nilly in a big pile instead of separating the colours should be ashamed of yourself. You're a disgrace to the shirt and the badge. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up there. Thanks everyone who's been watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We'll have loads more videos coming up. Now we've got Frenkie De Jong practically done. Should we do another Frenkie De Jong video? Should we chat about him a bit more? Should we get more excited? Joseph sat here next to me, he's nodding, he's grinning. Yeah, if Joe's happy, I'm happy. Let's do it. All right, we'll have more videos coming up later this day. Don't forget to check out the one I spoke about, the Scout Report on Frenkie De Jong with Joe, talking about that one as well. And if you're not doing, subscribe to the channel. Let's get to 700,000 subscribers by the start of next season. With your support, we can do it. Thanks for watching.